President Biden on Wednesday is set to deliver his farewell address from the Oval Office, though I think he already did that during the first debate. Bye. Bye.
Aha, his farewell address. It was the first debate when he stumbled through everything and was revealed to be a moron for even those who were not paying attention. Remarkable times we live in. Am I wrong? Heck no, I'm not wrong. Well, good Tuesday to you and welcome back. We continue to be reachable at 888-630-9625. Entirely cost-free. I told you a week ago or so that my best girl and I, we moved from one place to another, not very far from where we started. And we have we have our cellular telephones, as you might imagine. And we have what they call a landline telephone. That's a hardwired landline telephone at home. It's actually, they're cordless, at home, but there is what is that, an RJ11 phone jack, things like that. Telephone, it's a telephone at home. And you use it to, call the phone company and things like that. And when they put you on hold for 2 hours, stuff like that. And we called them the other day because we want the phone moved from location A to location B and to keep the phone number, right? And during the course of this, so we get our phone. You got you got your cable television and your Wi-Fi, your internet, and then your landline telephone from the same organization, right? And we're talking to the outfit on the telephone the other day. My best girl had, in fact, on speakerphone, and we're talking to the nice people. And I asked, just out of curiosity, what does our monthly telephone cost for, unlimited long distance, 24 hours a day, sweet as you please, right? And the man, the nice man, and he seemed quite capable and competent, well-informed, intelligent, and really did. And he said, well, the company charges for your telephone, charges $5 for the service. The service is $5 a month. And I thought, that's pretty good. He said, but you should know that there's a tax. There's a tax, too. And I said, well, a tax on a $5 service, what could it be? And he explained that it was more than $9. The tax on the $5 phone service, more than $9. It was, he gave me the numbers, $9.42 or 51 cents or 49, whatever it was. But it was $9 and change, the tax on a $5 service for my landline telephone, which you use occasionally. But, when you want to use it, hey, there it is. And I knew it wasn't very expensive, but to find that the tax is about, 190%. So, because 100% would be a $5 tax, and so a $9 plus change tax on your $5 a month service. I thought pretty interesting, isn't it? And then I was scratching my head a little, and I didn't say it to the guy on the phone, but I thought, I guess, somebody's got to pay for those Obama phones, right? Because it's a massive redistribution of wealth because they're commies, and they've got all the guns, and when they really get their way, then they'll really have all the guns. And they, it was the Barack Obama administration guy who bragged that they agree with Chairman Mao that all power comes from the barrel of a gun, right? That all power comes from the barrel of a gun. And that's the Obama administration, because he was mentored by a communist when he was a teenager too, wasn't he? Yes, he was. Yeah, it was Ron Bloom, as any school child can tell you, in the Obama-Biden administration that said this.
We know this is largely about power, that it's an adults-only, no-limit game. We kind of agree with Mao that political power comes largely from the barrel of a gun.
See, that's all about power, and they agree with Mao. Human history's #1 mass murderer of humanity and enslaved more people than even the Democrats, which is difficult. Remarkable stuff. And Ron Bloom loves Chairman Mao. And then Anita Dunn, you remember, in the Obama-Biden White House, also loved Chairman Mao. They love Chairman Mao, don't they?
Two of my favorite political philosophers, Mao Zedong and Mother Teresa.
She was only kidding about the Mother Teresa part. That's what made it funny. See, the Chairman Mao thing. They love, it's Hitler was like the Red Cross compared to Chairman Mao and the Maoist Chinese communists. But never mind that. Oh, speaking of which, you see that today, was it, Michael? They've got Carrie Underwood. Carrie Underwood will be performing. She's a songstress. Will be performing at the inauguration. And what were they saying on Al Gore's Amazing Internet? That she was, what was the first part of her? She was in Maria. She played Maria von Trapp in The Sound of Music, And now it's ironic that she's performing for Hitler, because that's the Democrats. And then they killed 1 million babies and chanted from the river to the sea and get the Jews off campus. Well, they call people Nazis. Kind of funny. The left is here. They're not liberals, are they? No, they're not. And we continue to be at 888-630-9625. Now, let me say it's Tuesday, and now it's 6 days until Inauguration Day. 6 days until Inauguration Day. And the city is preparing. My best girl and I, we went down to the U.S. Capitol on, when did we do that, Michael? It was Sunday. We drove down to the Capitol, to the mall, and then we made our way to the Capitol, and we parked close to the Capitol and went for a hike, about a little walk, and the reflecting pool on the west front of the Capitol is frozen solid, and people are out there walking around down it and stuff. It was kind of fun. And the west front of the Capitol building itself is set up and decorated for the inauguration, and the American flag bunting, because it's not the Democrats. They'd have Mexican flag and Palestinian flags because they're not on our side. If there are any American flags, they'd be burning. They'd be burning because the Democrats, you know how they are. So we've got that going. And we've got, who else? Kid Rock. Kid Rock is going to be there. He's a songster himself. And Carrie Underwood. And Carrie Underwood's going, so the left looks for ways to attack her. And they love Hitler. God, they love Hitler. And his Socialist Workers Party. Isn't Senator Bernie Sanders a member of a Socialist Workers Party? Because they love that whole Socialist Workers thing. Then they talk about all of us. They call us workers. Isn't that amazing? Hey, the workers are coming, and there's a traffic jam of workers coming into Washington. Amazing times when. So we got that. Kid Rock performing at Donald Trump's inauguration celebration, the New York Post headline. And the New York Post, Carrie Underwood to perform America the Beautiful. Democrats would never ask for that song to be performed. They don't think America is beautiful, and they don't like America. They're not on our side. They're not the good guys. We are the good guys. That's an amazing thing. And the city's subway and bus system, the metro system, they've got a commemorative, they call them smart trip cards. It's like a plastic card that you swipe when you're getting on the bus or when you're getting on the subway, right? And Metro has a commemorative smart trip card for Trump's second inauguration. And interestingly, the first inauguration, they did not have a smart trip card, for your Metro use, for your buses and your subway trains. But this time they do. I wonder what that's about. Kind of peculiar. And they're kind of good looking. I'm going to see if I can get one. You can buy them certain places. My best girl and I, we each have a couple of Metro cards at home. Like, oh, yeah, you ride the Metro. We do sometimes. Actually, this is kind of fair. We're more likely to ride the bus. And we do from time to time. I'm not saying all the time, but several times a year, multiple times a year, we'll go out and very close to our home, you hop on the bus and you can go place on the bus. And sometimes better than driving and parking because it's D.C. and all of that stuff. But it's fun. The Metro Smart Trip card for Trump's second inauguration be a little bit of a collector's item. And you can put a lot of money on. You can put $1 million on them, I think. I've never put $1 million on, but we'll see. Maybe Jeff Bezos has. He might have a Metro card with $1 million on it. Because to him, it's like, what does he care? We got that. Also, overnight, Jack Smith, the fake special counsel, the corrupt left-wing radical Democrat Party frontman abusing the Justice Department and the FBI, Jack Smith, and he released I guess right at about midnight, released his report. It's apparently half of his report, laying out his evidence against President Trump. And he said that there was sufficient evidence for a conviction over election tampering. And that's Jack Smith tampering in our politics. And he should be convicted, honestly. And I got to tell you, Jack Smith, old hound dog that he is, he should be set loose on our intelligence community people like John Brennan, who's another Communist Party voter. He voted for the Communist Party candidate Gus Hall for the presidency of the United States, and he should be known as a communist for the rest of his life. In fact, he is, and that's why Barack Obama made him CIA director, because he said, hey, fellow traveler, you got a penitentiary face. I know you'll do everything you can to damage the United States of America. Why don't I give you a senior position in my administration, the theoretical head of the intelligence community and the director of the Central Intelligence Agency. And then he tampered in our election with that felonious 51, which was actually started by Antony Blinken. And it's not Anthony, it's Antony. And Antony Blinken, who is going to be leaving soon, you think he's going to get a job with George Soros? I think he might get a Soros job, our Secretary of State. He's been such a great Secretary of State that we've got war all over the place and wide open borders and gangs all over the United States, from Venezuela and Mexico, and cartel members and killers and drug traffickers, child sex traffickers. So we got that. Yeah, but Jack Smith released a portion, half of his total report, because he wants to save something, hold it in reserve to unleash it later when it can cause the most political damage on behalf of the Democrat Party, of course, because he's a left-wing political activist hack, and that's why he was made the special prosecutor, the special counsel. And he insists that his evidence is sufficient to convict Trump. And that's kind of why did it take 4 years? You people pull your heads out of your rectums and start acting like adults living in Western civilization, and maybe these things won't all take years and years and years. Hey, a half a decade's gone by, Jack. Have you come up with anything yet? Oh, my report will be out soon. You're canned. You're fired. You're out of here. But he said, as all prosecutors do when they come out and they usually they have a press conference, don't just release a report, and they pound the lectern and say, we will get a conviction, and then sometimes they do. But that's then there's no no rebuttal. There is a bit of a rebuttal, and I've got that for you too. President Trump posted something calling Jack Smith a couple of choice names and things like that. He's got new pronouns, I think, is what's going on. And here's the radical left-wing Politico people, their headline. Biden had, he had 2 speeches yesterday, which is big for it. It was one at the State Department where he took credit. Joe Biden took credit for NATO countries paying their fair share. Remember, they vilified President Trump and said he was going to destroy NATO and disband NATO, and that NATO wouldn't exist after Trump, because President Trump said maybe you guys should live up to the agreement that you signed with the United States and the other NATO countries to pay 2% of your GDP. And the Democrats screamed at him and said he's going to ruin NATO, and all the media people, because they're filthy Democrats, 98% of them. And now Joe Biden came out yesterday and said, hey, when I took office, not all NATO countries were paying their fair share. They love this fair share. They're so full of hooey. And he said, and now, 20-something of them are paying their 2% that they agreed to pay, which is what President Trump was telling them to do. So President Trump pressured them. They came through, and Joe Biden's taking credit for it, even though he condemned President Trump for, putting the squeeze on NATO a little bit to make them pay their fair share. They love you to pay your fair share, not themselves, not their billionaire donor friends, not Hunter Biden, God knows, who, what did he, $1.4 million in back taxes? That not a problem, I got to say. Pretty remarkable stuff, the Democrats. So we got a bit of that. Did you see that Kamala posted a photograph of herself at the Jimmy Carter funeral at the National Cathedral? And there's Joe Biden, and there's her husband, Slugger Emhoff. That's his code name, Slugger. And there's Bill Clinton, Hillary. You can't see Hillary in this picture. And there's, let's see. Hey, where's Donald Trump? There's Barack Obama. There's Al Gore. He's fixing the weather. He's still fixing the weather. And it looks like he's getting his chakra released based on the look on his face. That looks like a released chakra, doesn't it? But wait a minute, they cropped out President Trump and Melania Trump. They cropped them out of the photo because, un fascista is good fascista. What's the matter with her? Also, did you see that Kamala Harris has not invited Senator J.D. Vance and his wife over to the vice president's residence for a tour, which has been custom and tradition of the United States for generations. But Kamala's a bitter hag, and she hasn't invited the incoming vice president and wife. And they got little kids, too. Got to check for child safety features and stuff. But they haven't invited them over because they're very bitter. Kamala lost. Joe Biden said that he could have beaten Donald Trump and that Kamala could have beaten him, too, apparently in a parallel universe where his brain resides. We're at 888-630-9625. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. Okay. The fires have left Los Angeles. They're still in Los Angeles County, but now Ventura County, north of Los Angeles County, on fire as well. Oxnard, California, on fire as well. And the Democrats... we've got a news media that believes that Democrats are not responsible for anything. They're not treated as adults might be treated by our news media, which is the most corrupt institution in the United States of America. With that, let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Greg calling from Rockville, Maryland. Gregory, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking my call.
You betcha.
I just wanted to say, with Karen Bass in L.A., the New York Times came out with a scathing, even the New York Times, the bloody New York Times came out with a scathing report of her travels. She traveled to Paris for the Olympics three different times. So she went from L.A. to Paris and back, L.A. to Paris and back, L.A. to Paris and back. And this is a woman who's concerned about global climate change. I mean, let that sink in. And then she was quoted as saying when she was going to be mayor, she wasn't going to travel as much. She considered it a sacrifice, for her. She's a deity, and she doesn't think that, it was a sacrifice. And she kind of revealed herself as the elitist or the smug communist elitist that she is, because she said, I'm only going to travel from L.A. to New York, D.C., and Sacramento. Oh, so the rest of the country doesn't deserve your travels, I guess. But anyway, love the show, and keep exposing them. Thanks so much.
You bet. Thank you, Greg. Yeah, that's all true, and it was the New York Times and did this. We did this story on my TV show on Newsmax last night as well at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. The Right Squad, Chris Plante and the Right Squad, and we did this on my TV show last night, and it's true. And it was the New York Times, and they revealed, we did an interview with her before she took office as mayor. She had been a member of the House of Representatives, where she vowed, and while a member of the House of Representatives, she went on every congressional delegation, every junket she could get on to go any place, especially Africa, right? And she was in Ghana when the fires started in L.A. after vowing she would not travel outside of the country while mayor. Big liar. Also, the Pete Hegseth confirmation raking begins this morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Republican Senator Roger Wicker presiding over the confirmation hearing, and it actually began just a very short time ago, and there's a media scrum surrounding him with lots and lots of photographers in his face as he came into the hearing room and was getting seated at the table, and they surrounded him, engulfed him, peppering him with some questions. So they're hoping that anything he says might end his political future, his political career, because that's the role that the news media plays, right? And my friend Tom in Florida sent me, he turned on CNN, or CNN is on where he is, and the CNN graphic on the lower third of the screen, they say, soon, : they love their colons, especially at CNN. Trump Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth faces confirmation hearing. See, it faces when you're when you're a Democrat nominee, then you're enjoying a confirmation hearing. He's experiencing a confirmation hearing. But Pete Hegseth, he faces a confirmation hearing because, it's something that you have to negotiate when you're a Republican, because the Democrats are going to smear him and slander him and try to get him to say something that will end his political future. And that's the role that the Democrats will play here. They're a lynch mob. The bullwhip and the lynching tree, that's Democrat Party stuff. These are Democrat Party traditions. And we have the opening, because the opening I thought was kind of interesting.
Let all those who wish to confess their evil ways and to accept and embrace the true church convert now or forever burn in hell. For now begins the Inquisition.
Ah, yes. That was. I said, why did they let the Democrats open the thing? That's kind of weird. So the Inquisition begins, and it promises to be quite a show, I've got to say.
The Inquisition, what a show! The Inquisition,
here we go.
We know you're wishing that we'd go away, but the Inquisition's here and it's here to stay.
Ah, yes. And the Democrats, they're gonna. They usually, what they love to do is find a woman who's somewhere in obscurity and drag her out and say that 42 years ago in junior high school, Pete Hegseth said something mean to you when you were both riding your bikes to school, and therefore he shouldn't be Secretary of Defense, because that's what the Democrats always do, don't it? And they're the party of, hey, where's Tara Reid? Tara Reid should be brought in. She should get the Presidential Medal of Freedom, sexually assaulted by Joe Biden when she was a Senate staffer in Joe Biden's office, an actual relationship that actually existed, unlike the usual Democrat Party women that they trot out. Just saying. Womp, womp, womp. I'm telling you. So the hearing beginning 9:30, they're saying it will probably go till 2:30, but there will be a lunch break built in there too, because people need a lunch break, and they might need to go to the little boys' room or the little girls' room too, because there are not a lot of spring chickens up there. What exactly is a spring chicken? I think we know, but not sure. Remarkable stuff. Yeah, and Biden yesterday, he was speaking, and he talked about what a great job he's done on climate change while California is burning, and the Democrats are blaming climate change instead of blaming Democrats, because remarkable stuff. Womp, womp, womp. All right, we've got a great many things taking place today, even as we are just getting set up for the rest of the 3-hour broadcast today. There's a lot going on in real time, and we're keeping our eyes peeled. Sounds very painful. And our ear to the ground, which is not very painful, but look out for that train coming, because you never know. Remarkable stuff. And yes, that was Mel Brooks' History of the World, Part 1. And as History of the World, Part 2 in the offing, because Mel Brooks, I think, is 99 years old now or something. And I think he's got one more movie in him. I think he should probably crank out History of the World, Part 2. All right, Michael, let's go to some of, because it's unavoidable, yesterday's news, where Joe Biden was out there being a dimwit. And we've got some of it for you because we wanted to share it with you. And so Joe Biden yesterday was bragging about all kinds of ridiculous things, and one of them was interesting. He was actually bragging about what a great job he did pulling out of Afghanistan, because his brain, she's a broke. She's a no good at all. This is his speech at the State Department yesterday, Joe Biden. And it was supposed to be his foreign policy speech, because he's such a great foreign policy president. And remember, when he was running, the news media lied to us that he was a great foreign policy expert. And you may remember Robert Gates, former defense secretary and CIA director and all-around Washington, D.C. guy, famously said that Joe Biden's been wrong on every foreign policy issue and every foreign policy decision for the last 40 years. And Robert Gates is no slouch, and he's no fool. And he is 100% correct. And the only thing you might tweak is 40 years, because it might be 50 years. It might go back to when he was hanging out with Corn Pop at the swimming pool with the cockroaches in his lap, rubbing his legs because of the blonde hair in his legs. The guy's a freak show, all right? Didn't want his kids going to school in a racial jungle when they were racially integrating schools in Delaware, and he was against it. You know, Mr. Crime Bill that put black people in prison for doing the same thing that his son was doing. And his son, where's his son? I wonder if his multi-million-dollar Malibu house is okay. He was renting it, though. What was it, like $25,000 a month or something crazy like that? All right, let's go to Joe Biden yesterday at the State Department giving a speech. And he's talking about Afghanistan and how great he was for getting us out of Afghanistan, regardless of how tragic the whole situation was.
When I took office, I had a choice. Ultimately, I saw no reason to keep thousands of servicemen in Afghanistan. I think I have my schedule with me, and I keep on my, I don't here, I don't have, but I keep on the back of my card the actual number of dead and wounded that occurred in our longest war to remind myself. Keep spending hundreds of millions of dollars a day. We're no longer doing that. In my view, it was time to end the war and bring our troops home, and we did.
Hundreds of millions of dollars a day. Hundreds of millions of dollars a day. Oh, my. Wow. Hundreds of millions of dollars a day. Democrats they're not math people. We've learned that math is not their thing, not by a long shot. Yeah, he carries his card around. He done such a good job. Did he check his watch while he was reading that line? Because that's pretty amazing stuff. And how many Americans, Mr. President, died? Because I know you were distracted during the dignified return of remains of all of the Americans that were killed. How many Americans were killed in Afghanistan under President Trump's time as president? And, you know, we were going to leave like 2,500 American troops in there. Keep an eye on the Chinese and the Taliban and on Al-Qaeda. And we weren't going to leave them, $300 billion a day in U.S. military equipment that they could use against civilization. Joe Biden is not the brightest knife. That's for sure. Man, oh, Manischewitz. But he wasn't done yet because, you know, the one thing's for sure, the future remains to be seen.
New challenges will certainly emerge in the months and years ahead. But even so, it's clear.
What?
My administration is leaving the next administration with a very strong hand to play.
Yeah.
And we're leaving them in America with more friends and stronger alliances.
What?
Whose adversaries are weaker and under pressure.
Is that right? We've got a stronger hand with war in the Middle East, and we got Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis and Iran waging war against Israel, and Israel single-handedly smiting them left and right, north and south, and don't forget east because Iran is over there. And Joe Biden has spent most of his time condemning Israel and blaming Netanyahu. You remember Barack Obama, during the Obama-Biden administration, sent teams of Democrat Party political operatives to Israel to try to defeat Netanyahu, tampering in their elections, just as the radical left-wing intelligence community, corrupted by the Democrat Party and led by penitentiary Face Brennan, corrupted our presidential election in 2020 with a felonious 51, right? Tampering with that letter, that fake, it's all the earmarks of Russian disinformation. The New York Post reporting on Hunter Biden's laptop. All lies, all lies, I tell you. And just amazing stuff. You're a Democrat Party. And they had the FBI on the phone with Zuckerberg's people at Facebook and beyond saying, don't let people share this reporting by the New York Post on Hunter Biden's laptop, where Joe Biden is there in the emails. Ask Tony Bobulinski, CEO of one of the Biden family corporations. What do they have, like 22 corporations? And nobody knows what business they're in. They're in the business of peddling influence peddling. Perhaps you've heard of it. Amazing stuff. And this is an amazing one, too, because President Trump has told the savages in the Middle East, the troglodytes, the Islamists, release the hostages by Inauguration Day, or there will be consequences, severe consequences. And now Joe Biden is like, hey, the terrorists want to give up hostages, and it's all because of me. And it's a huge lie.
We're on the brink of a proposal that I laid out in detail months ago, finally coming to fruition. The deal we have structured would free the hostages, halt the fighting, provide security to Israel, and allow us to significantly surge humanitarian assistance to the Palestinians who've suffered terribly in this war that Hamas started.
Well, Hamas did start it, although I think you guys have spent most of your time blaming Israel. And you filled college campuses in the United States with little fascists that were chanting from the river to the sea, which is a Hamas call to wipe Israel off the face of the earth, to wipe them off the map. And it was too threatening, too dangerous for Jewish students and professors to arrive on campus because the Democrat Party, socialist lefties that they are, just like Adolf Hitler's Socialist Workers' Party, just amazing stuff. There was a wonderful and intelligent woman on the Fox News Channel in the 5 a.m. hour this morning. I was watching it for you long before the sun came up. Dr. Rebecca Grant, and this matter came up.
This deal is close, Carly, because of the pressure that President-elect Trump has put on Hamas. He really deserves a great deal of credit for breaking the logjam.
But President Biden wants to take credit for it. Isn't that amazing? Man. And then Joe Biden lying again and taking credit for more things that Trump did. President Trump was vilified by the Democrats for pressuring our NATO allies to pay their fair share. The Democrats love that phrase when it comes to Americans and they're trying to fleece us. President Trump pressured our NATO allies, hey, you guys committed to pay 2% of your GDP. Why are Americans in the Midwest paying for your national security, for your defense? And so he got the NATO allies to go to their parliaments and to kick in more and to make good on the commitments. And now here's Joe Biden taking credit for it.
Today, I can report to the American people, our alliances are stronger than they've been in decades.
Lie.
NATO
War
is more capable than it's ever been.
Why?
And many more of our allies are paying their fair share.
What?
Before I took office, 9 NATO allies were spending 2% of their GDP on defense. Now 23 are spending 2%.
Wow. And that's 100% because of Donald Trump. And Donald Trump was vilified by the Democrat Party, and that means the news media, for putting the squeeze on our NATO allies who were never paying their fair, not for decades had they been paying their fair share, what they had committed to pay. Just amazing stuff. You may remember President Trump at the NATO meeting in 2017. Well, I do.
NATO members must finally contribute their fair share and meet their financial obligations. But 23 of the 28 member nations are still not paying what they should be paying and what they are supposed to be paying for their defense. This is not fair to the people and taxpayers of the United States.
That's correct, 100% correct. And then I played this for you at the time, too. The then Secretary General of NATO, of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, Jens Stoltenberg, was asked about this by left-wing media. Hasn't President Trump made it difficult for you and for NATO allies?
The criticism coming from former President Trump has been against NATO allies not spending enough on NATO. And there things have really changed. Now more and more NATO allies are spending at least 2%, the NATO guideline of GDP on defense. So European allies and Canada are really making a difference now by significantly increasing what they spend on defense. Because
of President Trump and Trump pressuring them to live up to their treaty obligations. And here's Joe Biden taking credit for it. He's a criminal. He should probably be brought up on charges. We should have a special counsel look into everything All the Biden family corruption, the money from Russia, the money from Ukraine, millions and millions. $27 million into the Biden family coffer, as the House investigators found. And for what? Are they building bridges or selling them airplanes or neckties? What are they doing? Maybe Hunter's providing them with bales of cocaine. Why cocaine? Why? I think we need we'll keep Jack Smith on. He can spend the next 4 years looking into, and then come up with a useless report that the New York Times will ignore. We live in very corrupt times. It's a corrupt country. You know why? Democrats, because the left is here. Remarkable stuff. We're at 888-630-9625. Okay, keeping our eyes on the Pete Hegseth confirmation hearing, and we'll keep you up to date on it as we go. Right now, let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Dave, calling from Germantown, Maryland. Dave, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
Before I get to Pete Hegseth, you mentioned how Robert Gates discussed Joe Biden as being on the wrong side of every topic. I don't think you even have to go back to Gates. You go to Barack Obama, who said, never underestimate Joe Biden's ability to F things up. I mean, there's plenty of people supporting that notion. But as far as Hegseth or any of the other Trump appointees, I would like one single senator, at least, to come out and explain to me how any of Trump's appointees could do a worse job than the people that they confirmed 4 years ago. And don't just tell me because it's so. Come out and explain, why would Hegseth be worse than who's he replacing?
Lloyd Austin.
Guy there.
Lloyd Austin, former Army four-star general, and he's been MIA for 4 years.
I've heard it said that anything above a full bird is just a political appointment. They're politicians. And, it's Hegseth is a real operating officer. He knows how to get things done,
Yep.
So
I'm with you.
Give me an explanation.
Well,
Tell me how Pam Bondi would do a worse job than that idiot we've had for 4 years,
Yeah, these are good and fair questions, I've got to say, Dave. I don't think they'll be asked in the hearing, but we've just asked them because of you.